You don't mind, right? Being in. No, you fine because I'm putting it. Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Hello.
First, I'm honored to be invited to speak. I want to thank Andy, Dinek, and the host Alex, to hosting this event. And I'm so filled with warmth that we are got together and talking about what's going around the world. For my background, I came to US when I was 20 years old. Came from my graduate school. I lived as a roommate with different nationalities, different ethnicity, I lived with Hindus, Jains, Muslims, had no problem. And we lived happily from India, from Pakistan, Bangladesh, or whatever. Then the time changed. Years piled up. And one of the first shock we got was attack started in 90s. In Mumbai, there were synchronized attacks all over the world, all over the city of Mumbai. Then came World Trade Center bombing, just a few weeks after that. That was the first one. And then 2001, that really shook down. I saw it in front of my eyes, a plane ramming to a tower, the second plane that rammed through the tower. That signifies there is a lot of hate. People so willing to die to take other lives. You can ask doctors, nurses, pharmacists, they save lives. Here, we being humanity, we are training some of these people to hate. We as a collective has a responsibility to address it. I never in my life have demonstrated or protested here, except long time ago in my teenage years. But when October 7th happened, I called one of my friends. He's Jewish. I said, Aaron, what are you doing? What's going on? Is there any peace vigil? He said, let me find out. And that's the first time I attended an event like that. What it signifies is a hate, terror, that doesn't distinguish men, women, children, elderly. We saw the horrific event that day in the music festival, echoed back to me on a 9/11. Then in 2008, in Mumbai, a dozen or so terrorists landed in shore. They came from Pakistan and Mumbai with the more sophisticated weapon than the Mumbai police. Mumbai police had a Second World War rifles. They hardly use it. They don't fire. Turn it off.
It's okay.
Right, exactly.
So the point is that the terrorists are inspired. They are inspired. They don't just appear from nowhere. It takes someone, a child, to be told to hate others. Family gives them a shelter, nourishment. Well, there is a responsibility lies there. Now, I'm telling you, probably you all know that, nothing new that I'm telling you. But it's not the terrorist or hateful people define it. It's how we respond to it. That's how we will be defined. We will not be measured by how many rituals we do at synagogue, at churches, at mandirs, temples. Will be measured what values we pass to our children. What do we teach them? That's how we will measure. I attended a diversity breakfast, Thanksgiving breakfast last fall, and there were 400 or 500 people were there. I sat at the table, and the table I was sitting at, there was a rabbi. There were other Jewish people, and there was one African American. And I was listening to them, and looks like everybody felt that they are being otherized. They are alone in this trauma. I said, no. If everybody is saying they are otherized, then there is an issue. And that points to us. Let's unotherize each other. Don't be shy about approaching, showing a sympathy. Wherever the act of hate happens, rise up and go and meet other people. I heard during the march that there are so many people in all community, they are apathetic. Kurt told me that a few years ago, he was saying that, well, if he didn't bother, nobody would bother him. Same way I felt, if I didn't bother, nobody would bother me. But no, that's the things we need to change, our mindset. We need to talk to each other. People who believe that peaceful coexistence, live and let live. And people who are not, firmly stand against that. Few days ago, the terrorist struck in northern India. They isolated, they wanted to know what religion they followed. Wanted them to say verses from Quran. And if they could not, they had them strip naked to verify that they are not Muslims. Such a monstrosity, we would not ever think about it. In this world, in 21st century, growing up in this era, it would not cross, it didn't cross my mind, I'm sure it didn't cross any of your mind, to have that kind of savagery. So they were isolated, had them lie down and shot each one of them cold-bloodedly, and their wives or family member made them watch and say, go back and tell them. Go back and tell them at your family and your home what we did. Now, this is documented. It's not coming out of some horror movie. This is real life. Before that, after the October 17, 2023, in last August, something happened in Bangladesh. Now, before I take you to the little history, and the reason I want to tell you that we don't know about each other. We need to know each other's history. We need to tell our children our own history. We don't do that because we have gotten used to code of civility. You respect, you go to work, you raise your children, and you carry on. But not everybody does that. There are some people, they had other agenda. It's a hate, agenda of hate. They don't carry love in their heart. Otherwise, we would not be here today. We are here only because there are some group of people, they are driven and they believe it's their righteous cause to kill people. So yes, we are all peaceful people, but peace is not a substitute. Rising up. I'm going to go back. I'm going to ask you, visualize there is a map, the world map in front of you. Take a pen, draw from Morocco, Algeria, Libya, Sudan, Egypt, Israel, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh. What did you notice?
Muslim.
These all Islamic faith countries. Israel is just a speck. Okay? So between all those countries, there are only two civilizations standing. The Jewish civilization in Israel and Hindu civilization in India. And I tell, when you hear in Columbia University and other colleges and campuses, do they really know the history? Why is it this two happened to be the country that happened to be democratic, respect all the religion, while the rest of them are not? Now tell me, between all this line I drew from Algeria all the way, Morocco, all the way to Bangladesh, which country have been consistent election, rule of law and order? None. Now, does anybody had thought about that? Now, one question for everybody I'm asking. We know about Holocaust. After Second World War, can anybody tell me the biggest genocide? Anybody tell me where is the biggest genocide occurred?
Rwanda.
Sudan.
No.
Cambodia.
That was a Hindu genocide. In 1971, well, I need to take back to you 1947, which is very close to 1948 when Israel was set up. Israel in 48 was invaded by surrounding country. In 1947, the colonialist British left a mess. Muslims said, India is an ancient culture. It's not a religion. Hindu is not even the word. It's a Sanatan. It's a civilization, way of life. It just organically evolved, which is science, math, astronomy, flourishing. You would not hear in history books over here. What you get over here in a history book is some colonialist wrote and get regurgitated and passed on to you. Many of you have learned in school, people of my generation and the younger people, like her generation. They would not know about Hinduism. Whatever they are talking about Hinduism, it's distorted at best. So I'm going to take you back and forth in a time frame so people understand in a few minutes where we stand and how Hindus are supporting Israel because they see the reflection, their own experience. So since Islam started invading, that time its name is Bharat, South Asian, stretching from Afghanistan, south of Persia, historic Iran, to all the way to Indonesia. In Sanatan Dharma, there is no individual founder. But when the 7th century, when Islam started coming down to Persia, then knocking a door in Afghanistan, they start to come down to the heart of Bharat. And whether at some point in time it was the Central Asian, sometime it was Turkish, they start expanding with the sword. It was a perfect war machine. The invaders who came, they were told they are dying for a cause. They were not told that you are spreading love. They are making other people submit. It's about submission. It's about not love or freedom. They were forced, they conquered, they created Islamic scholars, historian, chronicle, they created mountain of skulls of Hindus. Now, Hindus are broadly defined. Hindus, Sikh, Jain, Buddhist, those are the Indian tradition. And we have been living coexist for centuries peacefully. But when Islam came, they had a reign of terror. Either you convert or you pay jizya tax. Exploited, once thriving society, Hindu civilization, was reduced to poverty. Then, and I would urge you, when you go home, Google SikhNet, SikhNet, biggest genocide, Islamic genocide. SikhNet, the biggest Islamic genocide. And you would get a very broad view of the history, how much suffering and pain they caused. Now in 1947, when the British were departing, they wanted to hand over the Mahatma Gandhi, who fought for independence in non-violence. They were ready to give power to his party. The Muslims said, no, we cannot live with Hindus. We cannot live with the Christians. We cannot live with the Buddhists. We cannot live with the Jains. We want a separate country. Gandhi said that, how are you going to divide each village? So their leader, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, said, I don't care. Wherever there's Muslim majority, it goes to Pakistan. Now Pakistan was a new word. It means land of pure. Okay. So the country were divided. On the west, it was called West Pakistan, and the east is Pakistan. Does it sound ring a bell?
Yeah.
Gaza and West Bank. Okay. 1947, 1948. Okay. Now, so they, again, like Europe, South Asia is a lot of diversity, linguistic, ethnic diversity, and plus religious diversity. People coexisted for centuries. But in 1947, some leaders says, nope, we don't want to share power with the rest of the community. We want to stand out because that's us. Other people are others, otherized. So they had the country. Gandhi yielded that request for better or worse and gave two-state solution. Now those words, does it ring a bell? Okay. So despite that two countries, now India suffered 4 wars. Now does that ring a bell? 1948, Pakistan invaded India. 1965, Pakistan invaded India. 1971, invaded India.
Wow,
So we are running on a parallel track.
totally, yeah.
And then each time it lost. Now does that ring a bell? Each time India returned the territory. Do you think it's over, live and let live? So again in 1999, they again invaded. That time again, fought back, they had to retreat. When do you quit? You got your state, be happy and prosper. We wish you all the best. But that is not the case. Meanwhile, actually in 1970, the East Pakistan and West Pakistan, they were not exactly reveling in a brotherhood. They have a linguistic problem. Now same or more level of linguistic diversity is within India. They were living peacefully, but over there, Eastern Pakistan were not. The West, dominated by Punjabi, Muslim Punjabi ethnicity, they dominated army and other powerful institutions. And on the East, they were Bengali, speaking Bengali language. And so Pakistan wanted to impose its language, West Pakistani, Urdu language on the East Pakistani. So there was a pushback. And they felt that they are getting a shorter end of the stick. So and they did not have a regular election. Always is a strong man, so it's an army. And if they got a episodic democratic election, the army pulled the string behind the scene. And after elected, the others are the front man. Democratic is a facade. And fortunately, our country, we're happy to work with Pakistan. India chose to focus on development, not to get involved in other international affairs, didn't have means. Because India, for 1,000 years, had no voice. Hindus had no voice in their own affair. 800 plus years, 8th century, it was Islamist controlled much of India. Then the 200 years, the British colonial rule exploited heavily. So when they leave, yes, what you read in a history textbook, yes, there was a lot of starvation. In Bengal, there are millions of people died during World War II because Churchill withheld the food for the colonial forces. So many Bengalis died. Again, this is very hard. The bitter truth are not reflected in history books. And I urge you, talk to your family, your children, grandchildren, and same thing I'm telling everybody at my own temple. If you don't talk, if you don't define yourself, somebody else is defining you. And that's not going to be pretty.
That's true.
So you gotta define yourself. Right now, Hinduism is defined through the colonial lenses, and I bet you heard about caste. And as a matter of fact, I heard more about caste here than while raising up in India. The way the impression tells you, they just correlate Hinduism with the caste as if that's the definition of Hinduism in itself. We don't vilify Christianity because of slavery. We don't define Christianity because of discrimination. We don't define Islam because of how much ravages they are creating, not only with the non-Muslims, but within the Muslim community. Whether it's a Shia, Ahmadiyya, whether it's Sufis, Druze, how much violence? How much violence? So, with that said, it's just endless. So, please talk. Many Hindus are not aware of their own histories. Because after 1948, when the British were there, they wrote something from colonial lenses, their framework of social division and economic hierarchy, and they imposed on Hindu, because that's the best way we can understand, and made it sound like it's a caste, you are born and that's how you're treated. No. It was more like peasant class, cobblers, tailors. There's a professional. Somebody are priest. So in that context, but they created and they defined that it's inflexible. No. And when I was growing up, my parent didn't teach me about hate against any community. My temple didn't teach me hate against any community. My school didn't teach me about hate against any community. In my college, never taught. We played in a playground. We rode the buses, and everything was about, either school or the play or the sports. I mean, that's what our lives were dominated. We never occurred to that, ask them what his religion is, ask this guy what his caste is. As a matter of fact, when I was growing up, my neighbor was a Jain. So when we go to the school, walk together, I would go to his temple. That's called Derasar. Now reflecting back, for them, right now, at that time we didn't think about anything. But in this country, we are thinking about it. So it's like telling you helping your kids. You make a meal for your kids. You won't even think about it, that you are doing something great, something unusual. This is part of you. So respecting other religion is part of me, part of my family, my community. But here the history books, or they when talk about comparative religion, overly simplified, or they are totally outright distorted.
Yeah. That was a nice speech, Mr. Pankaj. So thank you all.
This evening, what I would like, we are having at 3 o'clock a peaceful vigil, interfaith vigil, and would greatly appreciate if you can come.
Okay.
It's on the 65th Street and 5th Avenue at 3 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was a great speech. Wow. Thank you.
Very